Hey YouTube, T. Holtz here. Gonna show you an update of my shrimp tank. I just did some trimming of the top here. I got a lot of the duckweed that was covering the surface there. There was hardly any light getting through. It was all covered with duckweed, and also these leaves from this lily plant right here. What this lily plant does, it shoots a lot of leaves off to the surface, and then they block all the light. And then then I usually cut them. And the last time that I cut them, let me show you the leaves here. There's one right there, and there's another one in the corner. I just cut 3 of them and took them out. There's another one there in the back. I don't know if you could see it, but it's back there. And another one right there. I just took 3 of them out because they just block all the light from this tank. And then usually, at least the last time what happened, when I started to cut the leaves that were at the top, the plant kind of went dormant and it laid beneath the surface. It's a bulb plant. It stayed under the gravel for a couple months, and then all of a sudden it started growing leaves again, short leaves, and then back up to the top. So I didn't cut them all. I just cut 3 of them, and there's still, I think there's 4 or 5 still along the top. I don't want to cut them all. I want to see what's going to happen, if it's going to go dormant again. There you see one of the new cherry shrimp that I added to this tank a couple weeks ago. I started out with 10. I have probably about 60 or 70, but I wanted to add to the gene pool, and I'm hoping these new ones breed with the ones that were in here. I just saw a dead one earlier, and I'm pretty sure it was one of the new ones that I added in a couple weeks back. So hopefully the new ones that I added in there's enough of them in here still that survived, and they'll breed with some of these some of the other ones here to add to the gene pool, so they don't become sterile or come out with deformities. But this is a nice little tank. I probably have 60 or 70 red cherry shrimp in here. There's a nice Nubius Nana Petite growing right there on the driftwood. Lots of Java moss that I constantly take out. But I leave it very heavily planted because the shrimp just love it. Riccia moss. The shrimp really like it, so I make sure I leave it very heavily planted. There are 2 autocats. There's one. There's an autocat. There's another one in here somewhere. And there's a shrimp there off in the shadows. I think that's one of the new ones that I added in. So I'm hoping the new ones breed with the shrimp that were in here to add to the gene pool a little bit. Hard to shoot this tank, sorry, my hand getting in the way. It's right along the floor and I might be shaky a little bit. Not the easiest tank to shoot, but I do like it. This is a nice tank. I enjoy watching the shrimp. Let's see, we'll get a shot of the top again. Let me move this light back. Duckweed and Amazon frogbit all along the surface here. That's my 10-gallon shrimp tank. Right above it, we'll go to my 20-gallon high. Get in position here. And this one's a jungle in here also. Dark on this side. I'm going to need to be taking some of the plants out of this one too, as the top is just about completely covered with duckweed and long leaves from the Radican sword plants. This tank has Harlequin rasboras. There's a couple. neons and some cory cats. The neons love to hang out in these plants here. This dwarf sage actually isn't very dwarf. It's grown all the way to the top of this 20-gallon high tank. But the neons really love it in here. They hang out in the dwarf sage very low in the water column, and I guess they kind of like to be, kind of protects them from the light if they stay low in the dwarf sage. A couple of cory cats. Definitely a jungle. I have dwarf sage, Radican swords, which are too big for this tank. Radican swords, they grow very thick stems, and then they deposit their leaves up here on the top. There's a Radican sword leaf. There's another one. They block the light too. And there's a couple more. Probably got to trim them off. They got some brown spots on them. But they, as you see, the thick cover of duckweed. I've got to take that out. That's why this side of the tank is so dark. But I do like the jungle look. Nubius barderi. Nubius coffeefolia. And a big Java fern here. You can hardly see the fish in this tank. It's very definitely heavily planted, but that's the way I like it. They kind of let the plants grow naturally, let them do what they're going to do, and then when they get to where it's blocking the light too much, like over here, then I do some trimming. I just kind of let them go. Let's see if we can see the neons. I don't know how many are in here. There's probably, I don't know, 20 some. They've been in here. I've had these neons quite a while, a couple of years. I had them actually. I had them before I set up this tank. They were in another tank, so they've been in here. I've probably had them a couple of years, most of them. And that's it for that tank. Let's move on. Get in position again. And there's the discus. It's not showing up very well. The light is just not showing up very well. This tank here, lots of algae, unfortunately. And a lot of glare. I'm not getting a very good shot of these fish. I don't know why. There's a lot of glare on them. They're not really seeing the how nice these fish really look. A lot of algae in this tank. Plants don't really grow that well. I guess it's because of the warm water. You need a lot of plant growth in order to keep some of the algae off it, and it's not happening in here. Just did a water change a little while ago on this tank, which I do every day at 70% or so water change on this tank every day. Also have some rummy nose tetras. I'm not sure how many are in here now. I started out with 12. There might be 10. I'm not sure. And I have one German blue ram. And some cardinal tetras. Started out with 12 of them too. I think there's probably 9 or so in here now. 9 or 10. I lost a couple of them. Problem in here with the algae. I don't have algae in any of my other tanks, but I definitely do have it in here, and I think the plants, they just don't grow as quickly because of the warm water, and you don't get the right balance of to take up all the excess nutrients. I don't fertilize or anything. All my tanks are dirted. and there is a lot of nutrients in the water, and they don't get used up by the plants in this tank that don't grow very well. I tried some floating plants to maybe block some of the light, but that didn't work because there wasn't enough nitrates in the water. With the water changing every day, the floating plants didn't do very well, so I took them out. I tried Amazon frog bit, but I ended up taking them out and putting them in all my other tanks. They think I'm going to feed them, which I'm going to be doing shortly. Really not showing up very well with the glare here. There's lone German blue ram in this tank. He's got some nice colors on him. That's the 55-gallon discus tank. Video's getting a little long. We'll make a quick shot over here. Here's another tank that's hard to film. This is where I have it positioned. This is a 20-gallon long. You see my Harlequin rasboras in the 20-gallon long. Got some cherry barbs, some Cory cats, gold barbs there in the corner. Go over to the other side here. There is some algae on this Anubias here. This is the only plant that gets algae, this Anubias. Got a big piece of driftwood that's pretty much covered in Java moss. There's my Cory cats down there. Also on the glass is an Otto cat in this tank too. Otto cats in this tank, and in the shrimp tank I feed them zucchini. The ones I have 3 in the discus tank too. I put zucchini in there for them, but they don't touch it. I think there's enough algae in that tank that they can eat and survive on the algae, because they haven't eaten any of the zucchini that I put in there. Sorry for the glare. There's really no good way to shoot this tank. These Harlequin rasboras are interesting fish because they get really big stomachs, and I thought that I was overfeeding them, and I try not to overfeed my fish, but they get really big stomachs, and then all of a sudden they don't, and that's the eggs. From what I've done research on, if I'm right about what my research says, they carry eggs, they get really big, and then all of a sudden they let the eggs loose and scatter them all over, and then they don't have big stomachs anymore. I thought I was overfeeding them, but apparently it's just the eggs that they are carrying. This was my first planted tank. Another one that's got all the jungle look to it, which is what I like. I have the dirted tanks, and I just let the plants kind of grow and do what they're going to do. Alright. That's the update for tonight. Thanks for watching.